Jesus at the end of my show.
You were standing on a huge mountain on that tour.
And that huge mountain, first of all, I didn't make any money off that tour. I'm lugging a mountain around, and God said, okay, Nebuchadnezzar was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He was still king. So not only was I diagnosed with mental illness, the mental illness is something that was used to take my dome down by 10 feet, to wash me out, to control me. Let me tell you one of the things.
Oh, you're saying that they tore it down because it was based on the fact that they consider what you were doing to be crazy?
No, that's not what I'm saying, but I see that you took it that way. No, I was just comparing my dome and saying, this guy that can go up to the telethon, this guy that we can cancel him off a radio and still 20,000 kids come to see him, and he's completely not played by the rules of the system and still the most relevant. We could take him off the time cover. We could do no covers on him on purpose. On purpose. We could just take away press, no publicists. We could do that. And he still has the #1 searched brand on the planet. Meaning like #1, Yeezy, #2, Off-White, #3, Adidas, and then the other 3 is like Adidas, Nike, and Louis Vuitton. I don't know which one was which. But the #1 was Yeezy, and all the other ones I'm closely associated with in some way. Every one of these guys that are founders now have to look me eye to eye. Every founder on the planet. There will be a time where I will be president of the United States, and I will remember, I will forgive, but I will remember any founder that didn't have the capacity to understand culturally what we were doing.
Interesting tone though, like I will forgive, but I will remember is kind of like, it's sort of like a forgiving, threatening hybrid. Bit.
Oh, what I'm supposed to forget?
No, you said you'll forgive, but what does remember mean if you forgive? Isn't forgiveness, if you forgive yourself for the life you lived up until 6-7 months ago, do you still remember all the things you've done?
I will always remember every meeting and interaction I've had with Jack Dorsey, and I will always remember my meetings and interactions with Mark Zuckerberg, and they've been completely different. With social media, people are brainwashed by it. People are addicted to it. It is the modern day cigarettes. When cigarettes first came out, and Edward Bernays created the Torches of Freedom March to get women to feel empowered by smoking cigarettes. This is from Century of Self, and it shows that Edward Bernays was Freud's cousin. So, you know, I don't know if I should even talk anymore. It's like, you guys.
What do you mean? I've got so much more to ask you. I got so much. I just flew to Wyoming. I got so much more to ask you. It might be 5 more years before I get to speak to you.
Know.
You might be president by the time I speak to you next. Do you know how I'm going to be on the pecking order when you're president? You write down.
No, we'll do an interview.
We'll do an interview.
I don't do a lot of interviews anyway.
I know you don't. It's good to see you again.
I'll probably do more interviews when I'm president.
2024 is still a thing? That's the time frame?
We're working on.
You're working on
some things right now. So
yeah.
What I'm saying is people are addicted to social media. People invest more into a photo on social media than they invest into real life. One of the reasons why I came to this ranch is to get outside. Anyone that's in a corporate environment, black or white, there's bureaucracy at every level. There's rivalries on teams at every level. There's rivalries with coaches, with owners, with stockholders, with founders, and everybody goes home to their families and they want their sons and their daughters to be as successful as them, if not better. You know, we're all people.
Yeah.
So this isn't to point fingers and say, this person is doing good and this person is doing bad. You know, I'm just giving you a flat opinion on what I currently see and what I feel and the pain that I have in my life. I suffer and I appreciate the suffering because it's just, we can just feel a little bit of what Jesus felt when we suffer. But social media makes me suffer. I suffer from that. And by me saying this out loud, I'm sure that there's other married men that suffer in a similar way that are happy to hear me say, oh yeah, I'm suffering.
Why just married men?
Because social media prompts women in particular to put out content that they wouldn't have put out in the past.
So you're referring to your sex addiction?
Yeah, it definitely could deal with my addiction, but when I was younger and I wanted to see something like that, I had to, pay someone that was older to go to 7-Eleven and buy it. Now, I got friends that have kids that are just out of grammar school and high school that it's completely available. There is no NSFW. I'll load up right now on this computer and I'll load up some things and you'll be like, should that be NSFW or not? Is it just covering just a bit of it? And, there's people, as a God-fearing, married, Christian, innovator, billionaire, founder, no one's gonna take my opinion away from me. I've been giving my opinion my whole career. I done killed my career how many times? I'm gonna stop giving my opinion now? People, you know how many times people told me my career was over? No one is gonna control my opinion. And one of the things where people have been let off the hook a bit was this whole, oh, he's crazy. Oh, look at him, he's crazy. That got to mute my opinion for 3-4 years, but God has the power. Jesus is the force that brought the sanity back. Let me tell you how I brought some sanity back by following God. When you are, yo, boo, can you not be on social media literally as you speak?
See how hard it is?
Oh yeah, but just something else, like just either like focus the energy here or like go somewhere else or something, like, or just do it in another room or something. But I'm not trying to put you on blast. So just saying that I'm like that but I go into this transcendent state in these interviews where like I'm actually reading Larry's mind.
What's Larry thinking?
As you're speaking. I'm actually reading Josh's mind. I'm reading Mr. Boyd's mind. But what happened is exactly case in point. Something on the internet took a distracted Boo's mind. That's what we're talking about when people pray together and you're in a room together and you can think things all the way through when that energy builds up. Because artists are like a lake. We reflect what's in front of us. So if you're in front of an audience and the audience is wider, you might say, everybody throw your hands in the air.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be appropriate if you like came in as one person sitting at the breakfast table and you're like, everybody throw your hands in the air. You're like, look, I'm just one person, bro. It's nobody else around here. But what I'm saying is you're a reflection of your room that you're in when you are.
Yeah, you're and absorbing that energy, trying to translate that energy and create something great.
Yeah.
I want to actually, that brings something to mind. When I saw the Pablo tour with the stage and I watched the way that people moved under it, it felt like a worship. And the reaction felt like icon and idol worship. It didn't feel like a normal show. And I wonder, now that you're putting your energy into something, channeling it into something bigger than you, how hard that is. Looking back on it with some hindsight, just reflect for a minute how hard it is being on a stage when all that energy is coming at you and you didn't have a place to channel it like faith.
Exactly. This is the exact point I was making. When you're not serving God, you're serving everyone else. You're serving your ego, you're serving your bank account, you're serving your legacy, you're serving your wife and kids, which is a good thing to serve. You're serving your management or the people that you're managing. You're serving Hollywood. You're serving your reputation. You're serving the responsibility of your race. You're serving. So the thing is, you'd say with what I do with music that I am a top chef, be like a 5-star Michelin chef.
Correct.
Of what I do with music, right? So imagine that level of chef having to serve at 10 different restaurants all at the same time.
Right.
and drive different places. Those meals.
Sounds like a road to bankruptcy.
A road to bankruptcy, a road to TMZ quotes, a road to the world just not understanding. And
Falling
saying,
out with your friends?
Yeah, falling out with your friends. And people just not understanding. The main thing is, look, we are living in the dark ages. We're living in an age where people die of hunger. We're living in an age where people are being killed in the street by their own race. We're living in an age where 1 in 3 African Americans are being locked up. We're living in an age where there are children being held at the border, some with their real parents, some not with their real parents. We're living in an age where houses are not sustaining through hurricanes. And there's companies that are worth trillions of dollars around the world with geniuses just working on how to make solely their product better. We're living in an age where someone could be fired for what they think if they say it out loud. That's the age. Wake up. This is 2019. This is where we are at right now. This is what Dave Chappelle's whole point was. Stop killing the art. The artists are supposed to express themselves, to be able to have that eternal 3-year-old at all costs. People say, oh, this is going to kill your brand. But my brand is expressing how I feel, whether it's in line with what you thought the brand was even 2 days ago. A smart man has the ability to pivot and say, I think something different now. I don't think this because this was the culture. I don't think North should wear crop tops just because I had her wearing a slip dress when she was 2 years old. I think and feel differently now that I am Christian, now that I'm the founder of a $3 billion organization and married for 5 years. I have 5 years of marriage under my belt. Now tell me who you're going to listen to.
What have you learned from 5 years of marriage? What have you learned from that?
What I learned from 5 years of marriage is it is the greatest bond. It is a God bond to be able to have someone that you can call on, someone you could call out, someone that could call on you and call you out. Equally yoked, someone to complain to, and someone to grow with as we grow and raise our children.
That sounds like real commitment. Like, I'm not just saying like 10 years of marriage, but that sounds like a lifelong realization. Those are all key attributes to a lifelong bond.
Absolutely. That's it. I mean, I told my wife, I said, Jesus King is coming. There's going to be a lot of attacks. There's going to be some silly attacks.
Why do you say that? Are you talking about spiritual
attacks and
again?
Just spiritual warfare, and then also just societal control attacks. I wasn't afraid to speak my mind when I didn't own my master's. I own my master's. You think I ain't gonna talk my mind right now? You know what I'm saying? Give me some other examples where someone is saying something that isn't what you're culturally supposed to say. Give me an example of something, of a position where someone is saying something that you're not culturally supposed to say. Whether, I bet there's only one name you can think of. You don't want to say it, do you, Lebron?
Nah, come on. By the way, I'm all right with that.
Say the name.
No, no, for sure. I mean, Donald Trump's on the list. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not a fan, man. And that's an understatement, right? But that's okay. We're different. We have different approaches to how we live our life. Yeah. But one thing you said earlier on, which I do totally relate to, which I love, is we're trying to leave the world in a better place for the people that matter to us, our kids.
Okay.
And if you're too young to have kids, you're trying to make the world a better place for yourself. And she may be in a situation where it's expected of her now, but I do think Greta Thunberg at one point was on that list, having a 16-year-old kid from Sweden coming out and putting everything on hold and saying what she believed in. And climate change does concern me, and I do think it's a fucking issue. And I think the fact that she came out and did that was huge. And now it's like, oh, that's culturally accepted because she has an army of kids behind her. But at the time, she was one kid. She's the only person who stood out in the street and did that on her own. Do you know how many times I've walked down the street when I've felt so frustrated about that and thought, what if I just stop what I'm doing and stand out in the middle of a street in Los Angeles with a placard? Would anyone join me, right? I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling that way. And it feels overwhelming. Like, what change is it really going to make? She just showed us up. She did that on her own. Started with one person.
That was beautiful.
And it's beautiful, but it's also terrifying that we're leaving that world. You know? I see why you're here. I get it. I understand why you're checking out. It was too noisy for you there. It was too noisy. And you responded by making as much noise as you could. And we're lucky. We got amazing art out of it. Amazing art. Yeah. If this was a trade, Kanye, we did all right out of it.
You know what? That's so funny.
Facts.
Well, that's good, but also I owe nobody nothing. My forefathers have already fought the fight. So it's not a fight when I put the hat on. It's simply my opinion and its next subject.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, there is part of you that is liberal.
I'm the most liberal.
You keep talking about the liberals. Like, it's like they're going to come flying down the mountain here in Wyoming, like on horses and stuff. It's like, you know, come on.
Well, they wouldn't come to Wyoming. They'd rather be with no self-service and, you know, in the valley, just driving to like an eighth meeting a day.
All right, I'm a Kanye West fan. And it's a reality. I'm a Kanye West fan. What you played me of
oh, well, I was to say,
go.
that was shocking for a Kanye West fan. But this shows you that God is hilarious.
Why?
God, you know, there's one gate, there's two gates, or there's three gates, but there's two main gates when you're with houses at the end of the cul-de-sac. One gate goes, and my house is at the end of the cul-de-sac. Who else's house do you think is at the end of the other cul-de-sac of the gate? The name of the gate is their house at the end of the cul-de-sac. The name of the gate is my house at the end of the cul-de-sac. What other rapper do you think?
I don't know. Help me out. I'm trying to work out where the cul-de-sac is.
Yeah, okay.
Go.
So God is funny.
Yeah.
Drake.
Right.
Lives
literally.
Lives 4 blocks down the street from me.
Got it.
So that shows you that God is like, he's got a sense of humor.
Why?
Liberals,
because he's the polar opposite of where you're at?
No, it's just because there was a rivalry.
Right.
Now, liberals love art, right? And now I am undoubtedly the greatest human artist of all time. It's just not even a question anymore at this point. It's just a fact, right? So for the greatest artists in human existence to put a red hat on was like God's practical joke on all liberals.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And that's why it hurt.
Not Kanye!
And that's why it hurts so much. It hurt so many, it hurt people a lot, you know, because you are held up as this person who continues to provide us.
But those liberals never.
No, fans, man, fans.
Yeah, also fans and liberals never stood in front of the prisons to stop there from being 1 and 3 locked up, or the system that's set up where there's actually not enough legal job opportunities for us to avoid from being locked up. Now you got the Clintons, that's privately owned prisons. You get what I'm saying? It's like everyone, no one is God. Everyone bases their opinions on a group of propaganda-esque images fed to us from the very first cartoon or the very first cereal box that we saw in a grocery store. And our environment, friends, schools, religion, country, music that we listen to, all informs our opinion and what side we're on. We've been herded into an idea of blue or red, right, left. But there's actually a time when we were closer to heaven, when we were 6 months before we learned how to speak, before things got so complicated, where we actually had more in common. All of these things that separate us, it's like when you don't spend time talking to somebody for a long time, you start to build up more and more reasons why you shouldn't be talking to
there's
him.
anxiety in it, and distance creates that anxiety.
The distance has created an anxiety. We are the same human beings. We are gods. It's not man versus machine. Man is the machine. So we are God's imperfect creation because we perish. Go ahead.
So if you're in a situation now where you're able to you want to mend that, you want to bring those things together, starting with the relationships in your life, are you able to do that? With the friendships that have deviated, you talk about the rivalry with Drake, you talk about this public fallout with people who you've shared a really valuable part of your life with, Jay-Z, people like that. Are you able to mend that? Is this putting you on a path of recovery in personal relationships as much as it is in your own relationship with yourself?
Absolutely. You cannot be in service to God and be mad at your brother.
Have you started that process?
Next door. Yeah, I go to Drake's house. I walk over there with no security and just leave my phone number. Here's my cell. But I'm not trying to ring the doorbell and say, "Oh, you gotta come out." Sorry, right now he might be busy. He got a studio in there. He probably. You're just gonna think that Drake is recording at all times and stuff like, man, he probably recording. No, man, he probably recording. So.
But you would like to see that. You'd like to see that.
Yo, man, can I talk? He in the booth.
Always in the booth.
Rappers about, I stay in the booth. I don't leave the booth.
Speaking of the booth.
I put my bedroom in the booth.
Sleep in the booth.
I sleep in the booth.
Sleep in the booth. I wake up, I have bars for breakfast.
Yeah. So I'll go leave my cell and things like that. It's like, with Jay, I love all of these people, but you got to know there's a lineage of Jay to Ye to Drake. It's, this person is your idol. Then you get to know them. Then you be friends. Then you turn to frenemies. Then you turn to enemies. And then you got to bring back the positive energy. But that is the lineage of like rap kings, and inspirers, because Jay was my biggest, inspiration. By the time I got to New York, when we had the throwbacks, I'm gonna tell you, Big Boy had the throwbacks first. In what was it? It's called Sky High. I think he had the Astros. And then he had another one I think he might have had in the Watch for the Hook video. He might have had it, but Mitchell S had a little stand at Lennox. And I would be going down there doing beats for Jermaine Dupri. And I pulled up to the stand and grabbed a throwback. And we started getting a lot of throwbacks. And I'd pull up to, baseline. And they were like, I pull up with my throwback. And like, Jay's like, man, that's nice. Like that. Then I pull up the next, I got another throwback. Then 4 days, they say, what, you stay in Atlanta? And then Don C was using this thing that we hadn't heard of called the internet, selling jerseys, online. So he been had a store like RSVP.
It's crazy. That was like, think about that for a second. Think about that probably feels like a drop in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
How innocent that time was back then.
Yeah.
Who you were back then versus who you are now. And the journey you've been on to get to this place, that's a life. What happens to all the work? What happens to all the music? What happens to the songs that we still love? What happens to those?
Y'all can listen to them.
Sure, but what happens to those from your perspective?
And
thank you for that, and we will. But what happens to those?
I'm going back. Y'all about to get the George Lucas versions of all those when he added all them robots. It's gonna be like, you're such a lovely God. I love it. That's like when George Lucas took the old songs.
Right.
I mean the old clips.
There's a church in the wild.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Literally.
Reversion. Literally, yes. You're about to get them new versions. You got to get those old versions. We are removing Jesus' wife from the I went to the Vatican and there was a Raphael painting, and the person said, this blacked out part is where Raphael painted Jesus' wife. And the Pope was so mad that he sent people to kill him, and Raphael died of a cold before they could kill him. And that was when I was saying about when they wanted to tear the domes down. I was like, I was gonna tear it down before y'all. Like,
But there's no win in that.
but I was gonna tear them down because I was just experimenting anyway. They think you know what I'm saying? They did something. They think, oh man, we made you tear down. I was experimenting with them domes anyway.
Yeah.
We're just trying to we were just getting proportions. We were seeing what it felt like. We took the domes up and we would eat there. And we started having, things like, you want some 3,000 years? Or Larry, you'd say that was 3,000 years ago. We stepped into...
We were eaten by the fire.
How proprietary can you be in an environment where you serve the Lord? And I want to bring up a specific example, this idea of...
That is such a good question.
This idea of trademarking Sunday service, which ultimately is a term, you have created an environment which is communal and belongs to everyone. It isn't just a Kanye West show, but there's the idea of like ownership over that term. How does proprietary behavior exist in a time of ultimate servitude?
It isn't. Everything is for God. And we can receive donations. That's the only way that it can work.
So the money you make from the merch is in donation to the cause?
I mean, I would say so. I've, spent, if tithing is 10%, Sunday service definitely cost me 20% at this time. But let me just make sure. But it's an iteration where we haven't completely solved it. So we're praying on it. We're praying for the answer in God's time for me to be able to work only for the church. That, you want to say my 20-year vision? That's my 20-year vision. Everything that I do is for the church. Even designing a shoe for the church. Even all the shoe names, our shoe names be like John 3:16 instead of 350s. Now, everything is for the church. That's a vision that I have, to be able to be an innovator and
Christian innovator.
Think about this. It's a lot of organizations have capitalized on my creativity and innovation.
So if everything is for the church, and that includes the relationship with your fans, let me ask you this. What is the relationship between a Kanye West fan and somebody who ultimately is following the same path as you? And is there a desire ultimately to convert people through this process?
It's not a desire, it's my only mission and calling, is to spread the gospel. When I make a song, it's to spread the gospel. When we make a device, this portable stem player that we designed with Teenage Engineering for this album, and albums moving forward, is to spread the gospel. There's the ranch, any ranch that we use, the ideas behind it to spread the gospel, to show everything that I do, and to be more respectful to my body as a temple.
Yep.
Even like, I was thinking, just using my mind and running this company was good enough. No, I need to, watch my diet and watch what I'm eating.
What changes have you made?
I didn't order that frozen margarita today at lunch.
Do you drink it all?
You know what? I had stopped drinking completely when I first converted, and now I'll have a drink. It's just what I've been told is to not have drunkenness, because I was thinking, man, is just the taste of alcohol a sin? To taste the alcohol on your lips.
Because this is what I'm trying to work out. Like when you've come from, okay, so check it out. So if becoming a born again Christian is an ultimate reflection upon life before as being sin, right?
Not everything in life was sin.
But when you first become born again, that's what you have to address. You have to take a look at the whole picture and almost untangle it from that, work backwards from that, right? Like, what is a sin and what is not? That's an intense experience. Surely.
Yes, and then you figure out that you still sin. I started giving myself 2 curses a day. Oh, like it was a video game. Like,
wow.
Now people say, God doesn't have a scorecard. I gave myself a Christian scorecard.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, today, I was like, I hit an 80. Yeah, I was a 90. I hit a 90. And at certain times I get on the phone with somebody, I'd be like, man, they about to lower my Christian scorecard.
Like an Uber rating. Because you're trying to be the best Christian you can be from day one.
You always want to be.
But I mean, like, you know what I mean?
remember Fred Ham.
I'm trying to work this terminology out myself, but you've always been a Christian, but you've made a complete commitment, so it's all or nothing from day one. And then you have to work in what is appropriate from that point forward.
But it's never all or nothing, because you're a human being.
Right.
You're not.
That's, I guess, what I'm getting at. Are you being kind to yourself through this process? Are you allowing fallibility in this process?
Yeah, but then I'll be repenting, because I'll, go and like look at something I'm not supposed to be looking at on the internet.
Right. And how do you process that now? Guilt?
And
shame?
then this is how it is. I'm not saying, oh no shame. Now that's something that Christ has removed, is the shame. What happened is, it doesn't work like karma. God is so merciful that it's not directly connected. So this is a thought in my mind that's incorrect and quite arrogant, to think that God would immediately punish me for me knowingly falling short.
That's the ego talking again.
Yes, the ego talking. But I just give you an example of it. Say if I slip up and look at something pornographic online, and then the next day I get into a big argument with my wife, or some of the designs don't come back right at the office, or a song, we lose a file or something, someone will show up to the studio. This is incorrect, but this ego and arrogance has me thinking, oh, it's because I did that thing.
Right.
And then I instantly—
correlation.
Yeah, I try to correlate it, but that's not God. God doesn't work like that, and we don't know how God works. But I'll go and be repentant. I'm sorry for loading up that interracial. I thought it was the most like me and my wife.
You've got fences here, but how far do you walk? How far do you let yourself go into this?
I'll just do like a 30, 40-minute walk.
God, you could go for days, bro. Don't you ever get tempted to do that? Don't you ever get tempted to just, like, if you want to go back, like, just see what it would be like to just walk off into the distance? You own it all.
Yes. It's just 4 hours, and I usually got other stuff on my schedule.
But isn't that what you're ultimately looking
most liberals?
You put me in this category now. I'm all right with it.
No, but I'm a liberal also.
Exactly,
So that means, like, we're running around trying to do what we can to help the world.
But isn't this ultimately a process of you trying to slow things down and find space to do that? To give yourself space to think? Have you been able to do that yet? Switch off like that?
Yeah. Well, the most space that I had to think is when I went to the hospital.
Yeah, in 2016.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the wind picked it up, but I said to you, do you ever just take the time to walk your land and just think? And surely to some degree, you bought this place and you've redesigned your approach to living in order to find space to think. And you said, one of the only places, the place you felt you really got to think was in hospital in 2016. And I wonder—
That's where I had the most space to think.
What came from that experience, in terms of the processing?
One of the things that was written, we have the booklets that I would write. One of the things that I wrote down was build a church in Calabasas. So we were at Sunday service, and we were doing a Set Adrift from Memory Bliss of You. No, I Would Die Without You. Die without you. And my wife showed me where I wrote Sample PM Dawn, Die Without You. So one of the things that happened when I went to the hospital, as I started reading the Bible and I started copying and writing out Bible verses. And a person came to my house that wasn't a Christian and told me, come over. And then 30 minutes later, I was in handcuffs headed to the hospital. Now, this person very well may have saved my life, because when you're in an episode, you can jump off the side of a balcony.
Yeah.
You can stab your eye out.
Your presence of mind is not.
Yeah, you could do a lot of things when you're ramped up like that. But one of the things that people do now is they try to discriminate against my mind and my thoughts because of that moment. It's like if someone, went to jail and now they're working at an office and they have an argument with somebody, who are they gonna blame for the argument? The guy that went to jail. Mm-hmm. So I still have radical thoughts, visions, future ideas. And sometimes when I say them out loud, people could just denounce it and say, oh, you're crazy.
No, I don't buy that.
And I think about...
I don't buy that because as someone who has suffered with mental health issues throughout my life, and had to really develop tools in order to do them to protect my family, because I can definitely find myself in a very, very dark place. I'm grateful for those experiences and those thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. To be able to have gone that far, to go to places that people say only ayahuasca and different things can take you, but to naturally be able to think that far and connect. And the way, I feel another thing related to me wearing the hat that liberals love to do is say, oh, this relates to mental health. His story is mental health. Is he like, my wife would go places and people would be like, is Ye okay? Is he okay? Like, Kobe Bryant has won 5 championships and he's got a lot of injuries. His story isn't pulling an Achilles, and every story after that, how he pulled an Achilles. But the same press that doesn't want to do the press and doesn't want to say, hey, Yeezy is the most Google brand, and this guy is a billionaire, this guy is a black Trump supporter, this guy is, they want to make the conversation always be about mental health. And I do love the fact that I can show the world that I'm sitting here and have been diagnosed, put on medication to make me fat on purpose. Because after I didn't want to take the meds, they were like, okay, we got this version that don't make you fat. They're trying to kill the superhero. So I'm here to show that someone that's diagnosed can still drive and be the founder of a multi-billion-dollar organization, can still be in service to Christ, can still be a good husband and a good dad. My life does not end with this diagnosis. No, and I will not be stigmatized.
I'm gonna say one thing.
And discriminated.
No, I'm gonna say one thing from my perspective, and I've said this in public, and I've said this in private to many of my friends. When I heard the Kids See Ghosts project in particular, that project was one of the first things that I'd heard that not only removed the stigma of having mental health issues, but like you said, put a cape on it, gave it a power. I think where people get confused and align it with mental instability is, if I may say, is the distribution of the information.
Oh, you mean like when I tweet 100 tweets?
Or when you go off and you do it all in 2 weeks. And everyone sees this flurry of activity, and it's like every day there's 3 things coming at you that you're distributing information-wise. Then people, I think their natural instincts, if I can speak for people, are to go, is he okay? There seems to be a lot of disruption and instability going on around him in this very short window of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I've never been just okay. I've always been amazing. So they want me to operate in a just okay format. And that's not the format that I'm in. And I mean, Biggest, it's always the defense. You just said, it's okay, but it's not okay. It's amazing. HSP, highly sensitive people, meaning people who can't stand the BS. I can't sit with something on my spirit for more than a day. I can't go to sleep on it. I have to express it. When I was, me and Drake had the disagreement and he refused to talk to me for 6 months, that was so painful because expressing yourself is a form of therapy for people with mental health. So you saw, I expressed myself. I've been waiting to express myself for a long time. And then the expression fully came out. People that are locked up a lot of times ran out of words. The expression went to, I'm just about to go shoot somebody, or I'm going crazy because I don't have a way to feed my family. Or my gang said that I'm disrespected, and if I don't go and kill this person, then they gonna look at me like I'm that strong. So it's a lot of things where people are driven to not have a conversation all the way through. Another thing I was thinking about when I used the bathroom earlier today, when I was taking a piss, because it pissed me off, is when the media says Kanye defends his support of Trump. I didn't know I was in a courtroom. I ain't got to defend nothing. It's not a defense. If every time someone asks you a question, you try to say the right answer, your entire life is a test. And when did you have the most anxiety in grammar school and high school?
No question.
On test day.
No question.
So your entire life become this test. I ain't trying to say the right answer. I am just doing what I feel. My mama said trying is failing. There is no ifs, woulds, coulds, shoulds. It just is, and we just are. And it is so. It's simple. That's like, and this mentality should not be defeated. Ye cannot die. Ye cannot be buried. There is nothing. As a matter of fact, no enemy. I'm my only, the enemy is a concept that's out. It's like a game. Think about it, you play a video game, there's an antagonist, but it wouldn't be a game unless there was opposition. I ain't trying to play ping pong by myself. So they set up new goals. There's one time where it was like, okay, Drake is your rival. Now, I think more about Bernard Arnault than I think about Drake, because he might have thought he got culture by taking Virgil, but it's like, no, now you're having to pilfer from my territory. You came in and took one person that is African-American, is African, and that could be the face to draw Louis Vuitton on the side of bags and get people that look at Instagram and want to buy expensive items that are of the culture, so to say, to overspend on things. Oh no, actually you stepped into my territory.
How did that make you feel initially when that happened? At the beginning, not when you hugged each other at the, at the fashion show, which was one of the best things ever that year, that moment. But at the moment when he left and that happened, how did you feel?
I felt bad. I felt like it was supposed to be me. I was the Louis Vuitton Don. People still call me the Louis Vuitton Don when I'm walking down the street. But I took a branding from something that someone else had made up and is in control of. So it's completely up to Bernard, who he wanted to don as the Louis Vuitton Don, because he bought the bag brand. He went and hired Marc Jacobs. He created the industry. He innovated the industry of luxury, brought people out to fashion shows in Paris. I mean, Bernard Arnault is one of my heroes. He's probably my dad is my top living hero. And then like way, way under that is Bernard Arnault, because he's got the taste. He's got the sensibility He's got the eye, man. This man created the idea of even wanting Louis Vuitton. It was just an old bag brand and he bought it. And then he had the wherewithal to get this kid out of New York, Marc Jacobs, to go in and ramp it and bring it to the streets with Sprouse, me and Pharrell, and let him go wild. You know, let Kim Jones do the Supreme and now hire Virgil. Like, I really admire what Bernard has done. He also offered me a deal 5 years ago when we had our first Yeezy show, shook my hand, said we never go back on a handshake, then dropped the deal 3 months later. And it had effect on me going to the hospital. Because my first Adidas collection that has like these pants from season 1 had lineups. The second collection never came out because I had to indemnify the apparel with Adidas. So no Adidas, no Louis Vuitton. And for me, I'm rapping, Drake stay right down the street. I'm designing, I don't have production, I haven't done it before, no one wants to help me out. I'm tweeting by season 3, season 4, the show was 45 minutes late and they LeBron'd me, meaning like they did what they did to LeBron when he said he's going to the Heat. My wife got robbed in Paris and
Out of control.
Yeah, next thing you know, I'm in the hospital and I have to wear that for the rest of my life, which I take as a badge of honor because it say, don't treat me like a celebrity. Always know.
You're a human being first.
Yes, 100%. And then out of anybody that they could have chose, knowing they did that, they got one of the best men for my wedding. And what I love about when I hugged Virgil is he showed me that actually we're all playing on the same court. And he went and ran that field goal. He ran that touchdown in for us all because there was a time when we all were crazy. There's a time when it was fish sticks in South Park. Now everybody want to pull up at a fashion show, but he really stamped it by being that designer.
He validated it.
He validated, and when I said earlier, I always thought it was supposed to be me. It always was and is supposed to be me, but I'm not supposed to be working for Bernard. I'm supposed to be bringing manufacturing, back to America. They did me a favor, but I tell you what, now Bernard knows my new Drake. I'll tell you that. I ain't even thinking. I mean, I want all blessed Drake. I'm an ordained minister. If you want me to, when he finally get married, I'll show up like, Aubrey, we done had our ups and downs.
You'd be good at that. You'd be good at that.
Yes.
Sorry, you'd be good at everything. My bad. You didn't get the memo?
I'm not good at holding my breath or holding my tongue. I'm real bad at it. Real bad. Yeah, but it was supposed to be me in that way. But God had a bigger plan. That thing is so much the Instagram, the Jesus Instagram where the little kid is holding on to a little teddy bear. There's an Instagram where a little kid is holding on to a little teddy bear and Jesus has this huge teddy bear behind his back. But you don't want to let go of that little teddy bear that you've known your whole life. That's what I was talking about, the tradition. You don't want to let go of what you think it's supposed to be. And God's got a bigger plan for you. That's why I didn't want to even be, presumptuous and arrogant and like borderline blasphemous to try to tell you where this would be in 20 years. I'm open. Hey, God, use me, please. Please, Jesus Christ, use me to the maximum if it is in your will. He's given me all these skills. Like it's times I sat in my house and I'm looking at how beautiful my house is, and me and Axel Vavort did it. And I'm looking at the designs, I'm looking at the music, I'm looking at what we do with show design, like the floating stage and the mountain. And I'm thinking, why, God, why couldn't I work for Bernard Arnault? And God is like, because I need you to work for me. This is what Sway was talking about. And now, I used to say how Sway, now I can say now Sway. Now Sway. Now it's time.
That's what this is all about.
Yes. And Sway gonna be like, well, you could have gave me the interview.
I was just thinking the same thing. Sway, I love you. All respect, dude. I'm a fan of my peers, but it's been 5 years waiting to get to talk to you again. And I think about it, and I think about you being $42 million in debt when we spoke the first, well, it wasn't the first time. Do you remember the first time we ever spoke? It was way before that. I asked you what
No, it was memorable for you, but not for me.
well, I remember it. And so I'll hold on to that memory. If that's all right with you.
Okay.
This is how far our conversations come. The most memorable question I asked you in the first interview we ever did was, which beat do you wish you'd made? Do you know what your answer was?
Benjamin's.
Benjamin's.
Yeah, but it wasn't because of the question. It was because I just remember, it wasn't because you asked it. It was because.
Oh, it's because I asked it. Then we found ourselves you found yourself $42 million in debt. You were screaming at people to notice you and to give you and to back you, show some faith.
Yeah, I'm saying Mark Zuckerberg looking for aliens. Hey, go one right here.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you own this, and you're on the cover of Forbes. They neglected to mention it, but you are a billionaire.
Well, they made up the term centimillionaire. They made up a special
that?
term. It was a special term that makes sure that the last line says, and maybe one day he will be a billionaire like his little sister Kylie. You know, that line was why I did the interview in the first place.
Right.
Because it was such a
Yeah, it's sticking it in.
a stab, you
Yeah.
know? So, and they put that last there, and it was like, take that, red hat. Liberal high five. That's what liberals be doing. They be happy because liberals like 80% of the press. Think about it. You know, you got Tom Brady, you know, he playing sports, and you got the liberals writing the newspaper.
You know there's a fight going on. There's a big fight going on between right now. There's not a lot of communication between side left and side right. I'm saying there's a fight going on, and that's why you found yourself in the middle of that, is because there's a lot of people on the left side, who you call liberals, who you inspire and you've given us greatness. And I know that that's not why you do it, and
I am a liberal. I'm a 200%er. Every situation, I understand. My wife does something that makes me mad. I'm like, but I understand your perspective of why you did it.
Right.
But it still makes me mad.
Right.
I 100% feel and understand why people have their position that are on the left. I 100% understand the people on the right. And the issue is communication, that people are not communicating. And for people to mute themselves is what I thought was the harshest thing to say. If you're black, don't talk to this person. No, I'm gonna talk to everybody as long as I got air in my lungs. Like I'm gonna go pull up, say, hey Putin, how you doing? Hey Kim Jong-un, how you doing? Hey, anybody, I will have a conversation with anyone with respect and love. I have love and respect for everyone. I don't have admiration for everyone, but I have love and respect.
Jesus is King. Do you want to tell people what's coming in December?
Oh yes, Sunday service album, Jesus is Born, on Christmas is coming.
You will continue to build from here outward, and I know you only think 6 months in advance. Well, that's what you said before. Well, I don't buy that part, actually. I know that may be an aim of yours, but I do think that you probably have a broader idea about what this becomes. And where would you like to see this when you finally find a place where you're at peace?
I just will keep getting used by God. I don't love suffering. No one loves pain, but I'm still, through the good times and through the suffering, I praise God because I experience the blessings and I also experience the lessons. I'm just so blessed for everything I've been through to still be standing here and 15 years in, be making an album where the work, the paintings still are inspiring to me, where I want to hear them. I want to listen to this. I want to have, music is my job. That's why I'm putting out the album. Serving God and everything I can do is my job. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on the planet, is to be in service, in fear, love, and service to God. Bari was, throughout the summer, he'd come by and play me a new album, playing the Solange album and, just playing new artists. And we'd be working on clothes and he's like, okay, clothes is good. And okay, cool, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, that's cool, but yay, music is your job. It's your job. This is what, I believe if I stop doing music, not because it promotes the brand, I believe because God has given me a gift that I prayed for and so many people love, that if I stop doing it, he might start to take other things away. Because who am I to say, oh, I got these shoes now, or oh, we're building these hotels now, or oh, I got a family now, so I'm not gonna do music. I'm not gonna give people these new ideas that I have. I had to really, and it's fun, it's a good job. It's a fun thing to do, and I quite enjoy.
Is it as fun doing it now as it was doing it in Hawaii, or doing it in Paris, or doing it at the Mercer, or doing it with Jay, or doing it for Jay?
That's a good question. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I quite enjoy the sound of my own voice. And apparently by the streams, billions of other people do also.
But that's not what I asked. Is it as fun?
No, I just wanted to do that sound bite. That's all I had in my head. Or something. But go ahead now.
Is it as fun? Or is it just different? The job? When you were wearing the backpacks, when you were sitting there making all the footage of you in the studio, just literally vomiting up these beats, just spontaneously creating things like no one else can on this keyboard and making these bangers and coming up with this stuff. Is it as fun?
I mean, we sitting here in front of 10 Sherps. Do it look fun to you? We could drive on the lake. We got a lake. Do it look fun
Is
to
making
you?
music as fun? Is your job as fun?
What I'm saying, this is a part of my job. This is what I do in the midst of my job. When I hand the new device, we need still working on the name, but the portable stem player to my daughter, and she's playing it, and then she turns down the vocal and turns up the vocal, and her eyes light up. Her eyes light up the way Jay's eyes used to light up when I would come and play him a beat.
And that meant everything to you at the time. That was everything you were striving for at that moment in time. That validation. Now the validation comes from your family.
Well, I don't know if it's about a validation it's not about validation, it's about the light. Seeing Jay's face light up when I would play him those beats, and now seeing North's face light up when she's playing with the device that we just created.
What is this device you keep talking about?
We'll go back to the studio, we'll play it.
All right, cool.
But tics, in general, are dark. Music has more of ability to be light. Similar to Tesla, I'm about lighting the world up, about being a light, being a beacon, and having other people experience joy through what we create, whether they're holding the product that we create or experience the Sunday service, or when they used to come to the tours and see the imagination, someone up there with a mask on. It's not about entertainment it's not about entertainment, it's about imagination. Witness the imagination and feel good. Know that things are possible. Know that things that you feel are possible. That's my job. That's what I'm here to do. To do things you're like, oh, I didn't know. That's why we gotta go and take the Sherp out on the lake so you can see that this thing literally drives on the lake and that it is possible for these to do that. And I think I think this is a good thing, this anchor about, comparing these moments or also the way people hear. The reason why I love doing listening sessions is to be close to all these people hearing the way they felt when they first heard it.
See the light.
Yeah, we see the light. Whereas when an album is like released mass wide, you can kind of hear reviews coming back, or you hear people driving down the street, and that feels good. Yeah. There's a communal element to music that streaming helps, and it takes away from it a little bit. It's like video killed the radio star, streaming killed the video star.
HSP, hypersensitive people.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term before. Do you think that is the thing that you're most misunderstood about in the way that you've been perceived and treated? Is that people ignored or perhaps didn't understand your sensitivity levels?
Yeah, I also feel it's a camouflage. If the system that supported Kanye West had any idea that I would make it to that telethon, or make it to that Taylor Swift stage, or make it to be the founder of this $3 billion company, they would have injected it with drugs way earlier. They would have tried to do anything to stop it earlier, but it's too late. So it's been a camouflage, and even right now as I speak, there's a wash of arrogance that because I've been diagnosed with mental health, because I am Black, because I've been positioned in this entertainment field, because I've had a red hat, all these different things, it makes, when I talk, it's a dog whistle. Because the people who need to hear it. And the people who don't need to hear it, that should be afraid of it, are too much bigots. They're too much of bigots I'm gonna say too much bigots because the use of incorrect English is also a camouflage. They're too much bigots to believe that it can happen. Bernard Arnault doesn't believe that the kid that had a backpack on will be standing across the stadium from Jay-Z, the greatest rapper ever. Think about that. A little kid in Baseline Studio with a backpack on someday to be across the stadium from one of his heroes. Bernard Arnault is one of my heroes.
Your dad is your number one hero.
Yeah, and then Bernard's way under that.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk about your dad before. Certainly, no, we've never spoken about your dad before.
Oh man, he has a water purification center. He don't know no raps. He stayed in homeless shelters less than 10 years ago just to help people. He's a Christian marriage counselor, master's degree. Met my mom in college. It's like, and now at age 42, so many artists at age 40, like Tesla stopped having sex at age 40. Da Vinci said, I'm not gonna paint rich women anymore. I'm gonna build bridges at this age. This is the age when you start to see. You guys haven't even seen, when they do books on what we're gonna make, you're gonna look at the sound and say, oh, it's a yay sound. It's all these different things. We haven't really experienced what the paintings are yet. You talk about being in like Allen Iverson said, who need practice? We don't have choir practice, we have choir growth. We have grown. The amount of chords that I've listened to in the past year alone, like in off time, even when I was doing 5 albums in a row, I was like, oh, this is just like LeBron, just back on the treadmill, I'm gonna just do these 5 albums. Y'all about to, just that 5 albums was a part of my rehabilitation from coming from the hospital. Think about like when I was at Nike. When I was at Nike, there wasn't no Virgil, there wasn't no Drake, there wasn't no Travis. It was just like Ye, graduation. And then when I left, I had the brand Antisocial Social Club. They made the Anti-Kanye Club at Nike. It's literally other versions to be anti-Kanye.
Someone's gonna watch this and they're gonna start that shit. There's gonna be an official anti-Kanye Club, trust me.
Okay, and they made the Pro Jesus Club. Then they're gonna make a Pro Jesus Jesus Club?
They're gonna make a Pro Jesus Jesus Club.
All right, cool.
To the hotels and everything you're gonna build, man.
Well, and building it for us, other people's families, not just, no. Building it for us, for everyone, just innovating, thinking, why does that plug have to go into that wall like that? Why does this room this far away? Why is this couch designed like this?
Is this your life's work now? From this point forward, it is your life's work.
Creatively, it's what I'm interested in expressing, but it will only be expressed if it's in God's will. Because if God wants me to build these factories, they shall be built. And if God says, that's not what I want you to do, I want you to go, I want you to sit in jail. I want you to go to sit in Africa for this amount of time for this reason. I don't know what God has planned for me.
Surrendering of control when your whole life has been about control.
Exactly. Think about that. It could go from being this to whatever God has planned, that I am ready to be in service to God and whatever He has planned for me.
Thanks for inviting us here. This place is super special. You know?
Yeah, well, let's walk back. I'll show you the machine, play you some music. And then I'll go ahead and finish the album up.
Yeah.
That part too.
Yes. Thank you, man. This has been really special.
That's fire. This is
this is crazy.
This is one for the ages.
This is crazy. So I guess, in anticipation of the album coming, we should focus a little bit on some of the folks who have contributed to it, because there are other people who are involved. We just spoke about a couple of producers who have been involved, and clips are on the record, and people know about that. And getting those two back together, creatively, we know that they have a relationship, but getting them on record, it could only be in this project, right?
Yes, that's everybody's. What they say. Oh, this is the only one.
That's the only one.
No Malice would come and rap on.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So can you just talk us through the process of putting that to him and getting that to a place where clips reunite for this project?
It was just beautiful. I mean, I had they were out here or out working on an album just 5 months ago. I remember saying, I'm not even gonna rap. And then
you were serious about that. You weren't interested in rapping.
I didn't know how to rap for God. I didn't, So I remember No Malice being like, I'm gonna write you a rap for this. You gonna rap on this. He said, I'm gonna write you a rap. He didn't say you gonna rap on it as a paraphrase. He said, I'm gonna write a rap for it.
And he must have been he must have been euphoric at the idea of you being able to identify with what he had established for himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He just sent a verse over right now, the second verse for this song I'm playing you with Victory on it, a song called Glory. He just sent over a second verse idea. So, as you see, we're finishing verses tonight and still writing new stuff. Absolutely. This is such a win for the kingdom. For Kanye to come back home from going from Jesus Walks to I Love It, and to say, I give it up to you, God. I tried it my way. It's not working out. It's not working out. I got, everything is in shambles. I'm ending up in debt. At least I'm seeing, we're making this money, but I'm still ending up in debt. My public standing is all in shambles. I'm not in good shape. I'm having ups and downs with my health. People calling me crazy, people not wanting to sit and meet with me. All this was happening. I had to just give it all up to God and not use any of, the tactics. Even when I say, oh, Bernard's my new Drake and all this kind of hotlines or whatever, it's like, no, we got to go in and say that it's all in God's hands. It's just praying. When you pray, things don't always happen exactly when you want them to happen. It's in God's time. It's not in your time. And God may have you suffer to use you, to show you something, to show someone else something. It's God, why do I have to suffer? Why do I have to go through this? But it's a part of a bigger plan. So
And where does that leave Push?
Push is coming along, but I can't speak on his journey and his walk, but he knows God is real. You know, there's things where people know God is real, but the tangible and the physical things are so in front of us.
And Cuddy on Reborn, which is an important moment of Kids See Ghosts, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a song that ultimately set you on the path. Even though that record came out, you were still on your way to Chicago to denounce Jesus. Interesting timeline for that.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's Reborn because Cuddy's not Christian and I wasn't
and
Christian
you weren't.
at that time.
And yet that song was almost a declaration of 8 months in
I don't know if
advance.
it's I think I was on the path since I was born. God always had me on this path. And, you know, after surrounding myself with Sunday service, with all of these God-fearing, God-loving people singing, you know, I really had a luxury sound wave treatment to show me how God is so good. And I was led with light. And it's funny because God led me with light to him, but then I'll turn around and be screaming at other people that are not in the same place in their journey, you know, pointing fingers and being judgmental.
And you're over that now, to a degree.
I'm still human. I still hurt. I still get mad, but it's interesting.
But no drugs in the studio? No alcohol in the studio? Can you be around that stuff?
All alcohol, but yeah, no. But some people, you know, have a medical condition where they have to smoke weed.
Mm-hmm. And you're okay with that?
Well, yeah, you're saying what do I condone on a property inside of my studio specifically?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm early on into the walk, and I believe that there's certain things that haven't been defined completely. Mm. But I mean, we never had people doing hard drugs in our studios anyway. I've never seen someone do cocaine in a studio of mine. Mm. I never seen anyone smoke crack. I never seen anyone do heroin. But pills are a friend of heroin. It's a oxycontin. It's an opioid. Mm-hmm. So I remember, you know, having surgery and then having the painkiller, and then after the pain was gone, I'd still be popping the pills and maybe taking more than one. And the feeling, that thing that set off, it's a similar feeling to when you climax. So that shows you why sex is just as much a powerful drug as an opioid or as heroin. So when you saw me at the MTV Awards, the year after my mama had passed, that was like if I was a heroin addict with the needle, coming out of my arm. Like I don't really care about living anymore. And I just thank God for saving me physically, mentally, spiritually. Yeah.
My last question is, at this point in your life, at 42, and being a man of faith, serving God, spreading the gospel, have you been able to find peace with the challenges of your life that you didn't bring upon yourself? The loss of your mum, the exposure to pornography at a young age, the things that set you on your path that you've had to process.
Yes, I'm at peace. I give it all up to God. It's sometimes we'll sit around and start to get mad about something, or I'm, you know, about to scream about something and I'm rude. You know, I have a rude spirit, and I had a rude spirit that I need to work on. Grace. A lot of people, there's things that they need to work on. Man, I am like just prepped to be a Christian. You know, you get stereotyped, you know, somebody that's tall and say, yo, do you play ball? It's like you just take everything about my personality, but like, oh, you would make a perfect Christian.
But don't you want to hold on to some of that fight? Isn't that fight needed? Don't you need some of that fight in you still? Like that?
What is the fight?
Yeah.
Just because you're a Christian don't mean you ain't got to fight.
I mean,
And
the
you-
rudeness. Let me be more specific.
Well, that's what I was about to say. The thing I pray for to be more Christ-like is the grace. It's I have to pray for grace. And then as God strengthens my hand, is to have more grace. Like we as human beings inside of the game of life there's an ability where I might be slightly upset about something later today. I pray not, but doesn't seem to go about 2 days without me getting something new to be, I'm upset about that. These are like new challenges that we're at with life. It's complete, the landscape has changed. We're out here taking, meetings and doing partnerships on building factories and building our own farms. And in these new challenges, there will be things you're frustrated about. It's like if you went to different levels of the video game. Like, I'm less frustrated about the snare or hi-hat. I've been doing that so long. I call up Manny Miracle and I call up Mike Dean. We have our production staff, everything. We got that completely under control. I don't have any idea, of how. I have an idea, but I don't have experience doing the things I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And in that experience, there's going to be some cuts and some bruises, but I'm ready to go in. It's one of those like jumping in the deep end things. Like if you knew how, difficult certain things were, you might not jump in to be able to receive how rewarding they are on the other end. And we in the deep end. We stay in the deep end. I'm not shallow. I'm deep. I'm like, everything's gonna be in the deep end.